Welcome back to Switched to Linux. Today we're going to talk about ebook management on Linux using the Calibre ebook library system. So I know several of you out there like to read, and I like to read, and I like to write, and so I wanted to spend some time talking a little bit. We'll mention how I do ebook management in my office, where I've actually built a network-based Calibre server, and I have a video about how I built that I'll go ahead and link to so you can actually learn how to build that yourself. But we are going to talk a little bit about ebooks. And yeah, I know the first thing people say, oh, I like to read paper books. And guys, I like to read paper books too. So, for example, I just finished reading a book last week, and it was a fabulous book. But anytime I'm finishing reading a book, and if it's a really good book, I always see if a free DRM or a DRM free ebook version of that is available. And if it is, I like to pick those up. Now, several books, since I like to read some older ones too, are actually not only are they DRM-free ebooks, but also public domain. So once I've read a book, if I deem it worth keeping, I like to keep an ebook copy. That way, when I move or other things like that, I'm not lugging around thousands of pounds of books. And I've done that more than once. And so I have a love-hate relationship with ebooks. I prefer the paper book, but when it comes down to public domain ebooks that I can completely own the digital file versus having to lug around a lot of paper books, I do actually go towards the ebooks, particularly when your cost can be lower and when your space in your house might be a little bit lower. So with that, we're going to go ahead and have a quick look at the tools we're going to be looking at. So we are going to be looking at Calibre, and I did install the latest version of this, which I believe is 4.2.0 on my virtual machine. And we'll talk about how to add books, remove books, edit books, and things like that. So you can go ahead and come to the website, download Calibre. You can see it is cross-platform. We have Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Windows 64-bit. That makes me concerned with the Mac. I'm not sure if the new Catalina will actually support that or not. I don't know. If you're using Mac, let me know. And they do have a portable version as well, which is kind of good. Now on Linux, where we're doing the video here, you can just install Calibre from the repository. They also have a nice back-end terminal-based application to use this. This is what I'm using on my ebook server. So let's just go ahead and mention that now. So on my NAS, I have installed a Calibre ebook server. And then that allows me to type in the URL of my NAS and then :8080, and that's going to give me a web interface which contains all of the ebooks in my library, so then any device on my network can download those books and then load them up in their respective ebook readers. I put a folder that is a to-add folder, and there's a cron job that runs on my NAS. Every 10 minutes, it checks the contents of that folder. And if I'm adding an ebook, it grabs the file, adds it to the library, and then deletes it out of that folder. So I can easily add stuff without having to go back into the terminal and fix things up. So I'm running that, and I have a video about how to actually produce that. Now let's talk briefly about where can you find ebooks. Now there is a tool inside Calibre where you can use to find ebooks. We will highlight that when we get into seeing the actual application. But I'm going to pull up two separate websites for you to examine right now. One of these is called Project Gutenberg. This is a massive repository of public domain books. So you can come over here. We can see some of the latest. Now, some of these I found are not always the best formatted, but they do actually work fairly well. So if you want to look something up, maybe look up Twain. We can see here's Life on the Mississippi, Tragedy of Pudd'nhead Wilson. So you can see there's a variety of different things. Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. So if you click in on one of these guys, you can see you can read the book right here on HTML. For interest with us, we're looking at the EPUB. So there's the EPUB with images, which are going to have some images embedded, or EPUB with no images. You're going to want generally one of these two for what we're doing. If you're using a Kindle, the Kindle uses the .mobi format, which it has the Kindle, so you can grab those if you want those. Now, just aside, you can actually send an EPUB to a Kindle as well, but if you download these, how do you get them on your Kindle? Well, it's very simple. Your Kindle has an email address associated with it. You need to go into your Kindle account, find that address, email the book to yourself, and it will automatically appear in your Kindle library. Now, we're going to be using Calibre, and so with us, we're going to be looking at something else. So we'll go back here. Let's also, of course, my favorite is Isaac Asimov. So if you search for this, you can see Worlds Within Worlds, Stories of Nuclear Energy, Genetic Effects of Radiation. Here's that's volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. I'm not sure if these are academic stuff or if these are actual science fiction novels. I'm not sure because he was actually I believe he was a microbiologist if I remember correctly. But you can kind of see what you have options there in Project Gutenberg. So you can download these guys, put these into your Calibre library, and you will be in good shape. Now, the other place to look for them, and there's probably many other places as well. These are just the two best places. Now, this is archive.org, which is your massive archive repository of things. So you can see here they have 21.6 million different books available from a variety of different things. So universities, biodiversity heritage, United States patents and trademarks, if you're interested in any of that, California Digital Library, American libraries, journals, a lot of things in here, Library of Congress, Internet Book Archive. But we can come over here to the search, and let's just go ahead and just do a search. Let's see what we can find from Isaac in this here. So, story. Oh, really? FBI files on Isaac? That's exciting. I'll have to read some of that. Conversations with. You can see that this one is a little bit harder to access things, but you should, if you know what you're looking for, you can probably find stuff in here as well. So you'll find just a variety of different things. Of course, he's mostly noted for doing a lot of things. So like, there's IO Robot. There's iRobot there. We got just so many different things. Once again, we can also search for Twain. If you want to look for something from Mark Twain, you can do this. Now, the internet.org is a little bit slow, so be aware of that. Here's some Mark Twain stuff. Now, these guys here, click in the book, and over here, you'll have the various options. So this one here, you can borrow the book to access. So this one's borrowing access. I'm not sure if this is a full download. Always check Project Gutenberg first. That was kind of a weird example. Oftentimes you just click them and you just have the ability to simply download it as well. Let's go ahead and click on this, see what we get. There's publishers, there's donors. Internet Archive books. So you can see the various different things that you can do. I definitely like Project Gutenberg a little bit better. I've downloaded several things. Like I have the Book of Days, which I use for research for my book on Happy Holidays. Came from the Internet Archive. That was something I was easily able to download. Looks like some of them you can borrow, whichever way happens to work. So let's go ahead and jump on over into a distribution where we're running Calibre, and I'll show you how you can manage all of your ebooks from within there. All right, so now onto our desktop. I went ahead and just threw some EPUBs up here just to have some work that I'm working with. I got Christmas Carol. I got some of my books there as well. Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. I have iRobot. So we're going to go ahead and boot up Calibre. Now, depending on your version, yours may look just like this, similar to it, not like it at all. We are using, for the purpose of this video, the most recent version, which is 4.2.0. So you can see it's starting up here, a little bit more clean of an interface than before. So here we are left with our basic default view, which, by the way, you can change this default view. I kind of prefer this so I can very quickly sort between different things here. So I can just kind of click over here. But you also have layout options down in the bottom corner. And these are kind of like toggle on, toggle off things. So if it is black and white, it is not on. So this guy here is... This guy here is your, let's see, let's just go with all authors there. We have a scroller here. We have this one here. I find that this little cover browser is a little bit more annoying. But over here, we can see we have the various different views that we have here. Again, if I want to go back to the list, you can just hide the grid layout. Now, as far as adding a book to the library, you actually can add them a variety of different ways. So you can just click the Add Book button over here, and this is just going to go to open up your dialog box, but you can also just drag and drop books directly to this. So if I want to add iRobot, just grab it, drag it into place, you're going to see it's going to add. So here we are. Here is where we are added in. All right, so now we can actually just come over here. Now, if there's an error on one of these books, something you want to adjust, like I was reading iRobot today as I was taking a walk, and I did notice that there were actually a few little errors in the text. So if I wanted to edit some of those, I can right-click, I can edit the metadata, or I can actually edit the entire book itself. So an ebook is, at least an EPUB, is basically just a zip file of XHTML documents, style sheets, things like this. So of course we can come over here and you can just find the individual book that you want. So here's a live preview over here. So Liar, I think I was on Lost Little Robot. There's a couple errors here. I'll doubt I'll be able to find them live here on the video. But over here, if you just kind of find whatever you want to do, you can, highlight stuff, and we can make some adjustments to the video or to the book here. So if I wanted to go ahead and just, do anything like this, it'll actually make any edits to the book that I want to do. Now, I'm going to give you a warning, though. There is something, at least with the previous version of Calibre, I have not tested it on this one, since I do make ebooks and publish ebooks. The Calibre metadata, if you edit a book in Calibre, the title or the table of contents menu editor will no longer work in iBooks. So if you are using Apple devices, whether on a Mac or on I think the Mac is not affected. It's just the iOS version, so the iPad and the iPhone versions. Last I knew, and it might not be valid anymore, but last I knew, if you edited a book in Calibre, it will break the table of contents on iOS. I've never been able to resolve exactly what the problem with that happened to be. So here I can save the book, or I can just cancel. I'm just going to quit without saving. Again, the metadata, if you wanted to adjust the metadata, you can go ahead and adjust that over here. You can change the author, change the title of the book, whatever it happens to be. So also adding covers, basic stuff like that. Now, as far as passing your books along to different devices, when you first run Calibre, there is a run welcome wizard, which we can run again by clicking on the preferences, the little arrow next to preferences, and rerun the welcome wizard. Let's just go ahead and do that. So it's going to shut the program down and it's going to rerun it. It's going to ask you where is your library, which is just okay, choosing your language. And then here, check the individual device that you have. So do you have a Kindle? Do you have an Android device? Do you have an iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, a Barnes & Noble, Kobo? So you can select what your device happens to be. So if I have just a basic Android phone, so you can pick an Android phone or an Android phone with a Kindle reader, Android tablet with a Kindle reader. So with this guy here, you can go ahead and choose whatever your layout happens to be. Now, with my personal phone, this will generally work well for your standard phones. What I like to do with my phones, which is going to be running Lineage and custom ROMs and a lot more security and privacy. This does not work with my phone. In theory, if you plug it in, then it will give you the option to just send it right to the device. What I had forgotten to test on is, does that work with my tablet? And I just thought of testing that right this second, and my tablet is sitting downstairs. So we're not going to test it out with a tablet, but in theory, if you just plug your tablet in, then you can right-click on the book, send to device, and then you can send it to the main memory, send it to the storage cards, And then when you send it directly to the device will know, do I send it to the Kindle or do I just send it as an open app? And then it'll go ahead and send. Now, the other way that will work is you can also hit this connect and share button. And what this is going to do is this is going to start a content server. So when you do this, it's going to basically load a web server on the background of your computer. And if you were to navigate your web browser to this point right here, then it's actually going to give you a list of your books. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like by loading up Firefox. And we'll go ahead and look at what that content server happens to look like here. Okay. Let's connect and share. It's not going to make it easy on me, though. I'm telling you that. What is it? 10.0. Just got to get that number again. Okay. No. This is actually a pain to do with split screen like this. Okay. 10.0.2.115:8080. Okay. So it auto-filled from my earlier tests. So now when we go to this page here on your device, which could be your web browser, but again, if you are on a network, you can go to this on your individual device. So this is the way I take books from my server and I drop them onto my phone. So all I have to do is go to this address in my phone's web browser and the server finds this, and then it's going to go right into my library here. So then with this, I can click into any book that I happen to have. And then right here, I can download the book or I can read the book, whatever it happens to be. So of course, on an Android device, I just click the download button. And then this is going to download my EPUB and then my phone knows what to do with it. So that way you can start and stop a content server on side of this. So we're going to go ahead and stop this. So now that shuts it off. Of course, we already talked about editing a book. If you want to grab a copy of the book, of course, this saves in the basic library. So by default, it's just Calibre library under your home folder. So you can come over here and just drill down to the book and just grab the EPUB from right here. But if you want to do it more, quote, elegantly, you can save to the book. Of course, you have to select a book first, don't you? You can save it to a folder. So if I wanted to save this, go ahead and drop it on the desktop. Now, the other options that you have when you're saving it to a disk is you can save only the EPUB. You can save, if you had other versions of the book, you can go ahead and do that. In fact, one of the things you can do, let's go ahead and show you what we're talking about here. You can convert books to different types. So if you have an EPUB and you'd like to convert this book to a different format, you can go ahead and come in here. This is your metadata. This is your basic layout. Make sure that you have everything. And then here's your export. I got to remember exactly where my structure is. I forgot to look into this again before I did this. I used to use all these all the time. There you go. Input format and output format. There it is. It's over here. So if I wanted to send it to a Kindle, I'd want to do like a Mobi format. I could do a PDF, just a variety of things. Let's go ahead and use a Mobi format in the event that you are going to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and click this. You're going to see it's going to run a job in the bottom corner. Oh, it failed. Why did it fail? I don't know why it failed. All right, let's do this one. See if this one succeeds. Not sure why they're failing. I've never actually seen those fail before. But in theory, you should be able to do that. It might just be, there might be a setting in there that I need to look into. Let's look one more time. Yeah, I've never had a book fail on me before. Just try a different format. See if it's just the Mobi format not working for some reason. Okay, so there you go. Now we'll scroll this guy over, make this guy a little bit bigger. So now you can see here, formats. I have an EPUB on iRobot, and this one here. Now we have the AZ3, and we have the EPUB format. So if I click on one of these, it's actually going to boot this guy up in the reader format for that. All right, so now if I wanted to save this book, I can save the book, I can save it to disk, I can save to disk in a single directory, I can save only the EPUB, or I can save a single format to the disk. So I can choose which one of these that I would like to use. I don't know, is AZW3 a new format for Amazon? I'm not sure. I have not looked into that for a little while. All right, so there is how to save books, how to convert books, things like that. Now, if you want to get books, Calibre has a nice built-in book tool. So you can come into here, and the first thing you're going to want to do is select where you would like to grab them from. So select your individual regions. I don't need several of these alternate language versions of things. Here's the archive.org is showing up. Barnes & Noble. I don't need anything from any other languages. Not sure what that one's from. eBooks.com. Project Gutenberg's in here. So you could actually do all this just from within here and without actually having to. Let's just go ahead and select none. I'm just going to go ahead and select a few. Let's go with Amazon Canada, Amazon Kindle, archive.org. I want to do Barnes & Noble, eBooks.com. Kobo is a big one for people. Open Books, Project Gutenberg. That's enough for the purpose here. So now what we want to do is we just want to go ahead and search. So if I just go ahead and hit my search button there, just actually I put that into title. Let's put this into. Oh, we spelled Isaac wrong. All right, I think that's right. All right, so here we are. So it's finding all of our variety of formats here. Okay, so you can see that this icon here gives you your DRM status. So the questionable means it's not quite sure. Since it's coming from Project Gutenberg, you can be sure that it's DRM free. These ones over here are for, these ones are unlocked. So these are definitely DRM free. And these guys here are DRM locked. Okay, so you can search for your author. You can go with your books. You can kind of see what you're doing. Now, the guys over here, these are download links, and then you'll also see there was a heart on some of these, which is an affiliate. So some of these, if you purchase the book, it is going to, these guys here, if you purchase the book from these places, it's actually going to give a small portion of that to Calibre Project. So if you purchase the book through this from the Calibre line, it's going to actually help support that. You can kind of see that's what the heart is over here. So buying from this store supports the Calibre developer. So if you're looking for books and you want to buy them, you can do that. If you just wanted to download them, you can actually come over here and just go ahead and click the button, and if they are available, you can choose which version of format. So this is just HTML. I don't really want to download an HTML, but I could try and download it anyway and go ahead and let's see. Here we go. Here's an EPUB or a Mobi versions. I could download the HTML. This is telling me over here which versions I have as well. So you can do that. So I actually think I have my books over here as well, so you can pick those up. I do not intentionally lock my books on DRM. It's just some stores I don't have a choice. So Kobo is locking those. They should show up on Amazon as well. They've always done that for me in the past, but you can pick those up over there. Let's see. There's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. We have two options here. Double clicking this, I can choose which one I want. Let's go ahead and grab the EPUB. and it will be downloaded and automatically added, so that's just fine. So now that's going to go ahead and just download whatever the types of things that we want. So we just grabbed The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which is now in our library. So let's go ahead and have a look at that book there. Here's this. Let's double click on that. And now I have the various things here. All right, so we've looked at adding new books, adding books to the library, downloading them, converting them, editing the books, creating a content server, downloading books directly from the Calibre libraries. Let's see, here's a variety of different, there's individual stores you can choose to look at as well. Let's go ahead and have a look at Amazon Kindle. So we can do just directly at the Amazon Kindle store, I guess, just clicking from that. Let's see if this is giving us an affiliate code. I don't see an affiliate code there, but it might be. All right, so there is briefly how to manage your various ebooks on a Linux computer using the Calibre Book Manager. So let me know your thoughts on all these in the comments down below.